Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Jo, this is Joey Sewy, and today I'm going to tell you all about what I sewed in December and November. This is probably going to be one of the shortest videos I've ever made because there has been so little sewing going on. It's not been for terrible reasons, it's just been that life has been so busy with many other things, and I might do a video about some of those. But basically in all of November and December I sewed two things and neither of them were for myself. One of them was a massive project, which I'll tell you about second. But let's get straight into what the first one was. The first one was sewing some panels into a jacket for a friend of mine called Susanna. Now she is a wild swimming instructor, which is possibly one of the most exciting jobs I can think of, except for the fact I'd hate it because it's swimming outside in the cold. But in terms of kind of wow factor, yeah, I just think she's living the dream. She obviously loves it and I admire her so much. But she's not conventionally sized for outdoor clothing because a lot of outdoor clothing manufacturers only make clothes for tiny people, and she's a bit bigger. So she knows how to sew but doesn't have a lot of high-tech machines. Oh, she doesn't have any high-tech machines. So occasionally she comes to me and she knows exactly how she wants something adjusting and she just asks me to do it. And that's the way that this worked. She'd been given a jacket by one of her clothing sponsors and they'd given her some extra fabric, and I sewed some panels into the back. So I'm going to show you a picture of that right here. And we were both really pleased with how it turned out. It looked really feminine, the panels in the back, and also it kind of technically speaking it worked really well. So we just cut the line of where the jacket had been sewn up between two panels and added in basically kind of triangles but with a bit of a curve on them to accommodate her larger hips, and then around the bust we had gathers which looked really feminine and, you know, gave her a really nice shape in the jacket. So we were both really pleased with how that turned out, and it just goes to show that even with scary fabrics like technical fabrics, there are things that you can do if you're brave enough. You know, I don't know if I'd have been brave enough myself to buy a jacket like that would have cost a couple of £100 and immediately cut it to pieces, but it was really good that we had the opportunity to do that and it worked out great. So the second project were some absolutely enormous curtains that I made for a neighbour. I make all the curtains for this house and now and then I do make curtains for other people. But this was a literally mammoth task, although there were no elephants involved. They live in what's called the mansion house, which is sort of next to this house over the back fence sort of thing, and it is a mansion house. And in the stairwell, the floor to ceiling height is close to 4 meters, and Elaine wanted some curtains for that. So it was a massive weightlifting job just on its own. I'm going to put pictures up here of the finished job as I talk about it. So the curtains themselves were just 2 straight rectangular curtains, but there was nearly 20 meters of fabric just in the curtains because of how tall they were and the fullness and the fact that we went for having them pooling on the floor. And then there was sewing all the braid onto the side. And then probably the hardest job, because it was kind of needed to almost be draped in situ, were those huge swags at the top and coming down the sides. So it was all just a job on a huge scale, and I counted how many hours it took to do that, and it was basically a whole working week. So in terms of the hours I had to sew in December, that was all of it. That was all of the hours that I had to sew in December with Christmas there. So those were the two things that I had to sew, that I did sew in December and November. I didn't miss sewing for myself that much because I kind of felt like by the end of October I'd sort of reached the peak of everything that I needed. My wardrobe's got really full again and I need to have a think about that because there's nothing that I need. So now it's all things that I want. Let's be honest, we've all got enough clothes to be dressed in. So I want to be really slow, really slow in thinking about what I would like to make. I've cut something out since Christmas, but it's nearly 2 weeks ago since I cut that out. I've cut some trousers out, which I'm hoping I'll finish in January, but this half of the year is going to be a really quiet sewing year, I think. I'm going to keep in touch with you guys and I'm going to keep putting videos up, but I've got my degree to finish and our house renovation is getting to a really intense part of our involvement because we're doing a lot. I can plaster, so I'm doing all of that. So as soon as my university finishes, I'll have that to do. So it's going to be a busy half, maybe even a whole busy year. So there will be sewing going on, but it's going to be background sewing and we'll just see where it takes us. I should say, I think I finished the October video saying I want to make this wonderful Christmas dress. It never happened. I thought about it and I couldn't decide on the pattern, but then I just couldn't bring myself to put all that effort into a dress that I was going to wear once, and I wasn't even intending to stay at the party for very long, so I was looking at maybe 2 hours, 3 hours wear, and it was going to take 4 or 5 times that to make the dress, and it just didn't feel worth it. So that dress never got made. So I've still got the fabric and maybe you'll see it pop up at some point. But yeah, I thought I'd clarify that because I did say I was going to make it, and as usual when I say I'm going to make something out loud, I put the curse on it and it didn't happen. So that's where I'm at with my sewing. It's quite a slow, chilled out space here at the moment in Joey Sewy Towers, but that's all fine, that's all good, and I'll be back really soon with another video. If there's anything else that you might want to see on my channel, will pop up right next to me as I'm talking. And if you haven't already subscribed, or if you don't get notifications for my channel, you can click the bell thing and do the subscribing thing, which I'm sure you have a clue how to do that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!